Hey YouTube, haven't posted in a while. I believe today is day 99 and just past 15 weeks post-surgery, hiatal hernia repair and TIF. I haven't had a ton to share that was much different since the last time that I posted. So there's been a large gap when I was posting every day, but again, going through the things that I've normally mentioned. I'm on no diet restrictions. I've had most anything and everything I've really wanted to have in terms of food. Pizza and tomatoes and pico de gallo, tacos with some salsa, things like that. I've had Taco Bell with some, a little bit of salsa. Unfortunately, I still have some symptoms, but it seems like when I have those trigger foods that were triggers in the past, that I will have symptoms, but they're not, again, normal heartburn symptoms. I never had heartburn. If this is the first video you're watching of mine, I never really had heartburn. I had more silent reflux symptoms up above the clavicle, where I had throat burn, water brash, nausea, stuff like that. I really don't have heartburn and never did. Very rare recently in the last 2 years or so. But when I have those trigger foods, like tacos or something like that, is when I have a little bit of symptoms. Again, some people said, oh, it's LPR or silent reflux. Google LPR or silent reflux. Sometimes I'm like, is it? Because again, in theory, if the surgery was successful and I had a upper GI, my mind went blank. Not endoscopy. The x-ray of your upper stomach or whatever. I forget now. I had one of those and they said my hernia was repaired, everything looked good, and that was like at week 8, something like that, and everything looked fine at the time. So I don't have a hernia anymore. Again, you can still have acid reflux and not have a hernia, I know, but I don't have the common the heartburn. I have acid reflux, I guess, or silent reflux, but I feel like it's better than it was, and I am able to have some of the things that I want. I haven't gone into the really fatty foods. I had some French fries not that long ago, but let's call it 4 weeks ago, give or take, and the next day I had some symptoms. But normally, I think, from my experience, you have a bad meal, and usually for me it's a dinner is a bad meal. And then, you start to feel something after dinner, and then you can't sleep because you have heartburn. And it's worse when you sleep because, gravity doesn't help you and push the acid down or whatever. I don't have that problem. I can sleep fine. I don't really notice a problem when I'm sleeping. It's when I'm awake. Even just walking around, sitting, there's no rhyme or reason for some of my symptoms, other than, again, I ate something. But again, it's sometimes not till the next day, which to me seems extremely odd. But I still have symptoms. So do I regret the surgery? Am I happy with the surgery? I think I'm able to have some of the things that I want to and have fewer symptoms, but I still have them, so it's still bothersome. And when I have worsening symptoms, I'm at a point where I'm like, why did I go through with the surgery if I'm still having symptoms? I wanted to be symptom free, not have occasional, because again, I just like a week, 2 weeks, just a week. I take a week with no symptoms. And if you're watching this for the first time, my worst symptoms, the most problematic symptoms for me are water brash or hypersalivation, call it what you want, nausea, and throat burn, and then sour water taste. Really sour water taste. It's just horrific sometimes. that's gotten a little bit better. So maybe, again, as I mentioned in my last video, they tell you it's a 6 weeks for diet, you'll be back on a normal diet, blah, blah, blah. But pardon my language, bullshit. It's going to take a lot longer if you have this hybrid procedure, at least in my experience. I'm very healthy. Was very healthy before the surgery, active, exercise all the time. And it's again 15 weeks and I'm still not recovered. And again, I'm either not recovered fully, fine, or it wasn't successful, okay, fine, or I have another issue. I am, aside from the other issues, I've had, again, maybe too much information. Here's your chance to go away from my page, my video, but I've had, because of the surgery, I've had major issues with my stomach. I can't take a probiotic anymore. I've tried different probiotics. I've tried different things, and it seems to worsen my symptoms, the nausea and so on. So I've tried different probiotics because I have IBS, and I am going in for a colonoscopy because I've had constipation, and that's usually under control with the probiotic. That really had helped me in the past before surgery, but I haven't been able to take it post-surgery because it I cut everything else out. I don't have salsa, I don't have this, I don't have that, and I still have the probiotic. That's the only other thing. I stopped the probiotic and problems are relatively solved, and within a day or so, my symptoms go away. Whereas if I'm on the probiotic, it's like my stomach doesn't like any bacteria, at least right now. Before the surgery, I took the probiotic many years ago, and it was like a miracle pill. My stomach felt good. I didn't have all the other issues that come along with the reasons people take a probiotic. And I just have, I'm pretty sure I have IBS-C, constipation. And it was worse because of this surgery. So long story short, I'm having an issue with my stomach and with IBS and so on and so forth. So you can figure out the reasons why. I'm doing they're going to do a colonoscopy next Wednesday, a week from today. So hopefully I don't have anything wrong with that, although I am a little nervous about it, but I can't control it, so I'm trying to be more positive about it. But in any case, I'm having that. But aside from those types of symptoms, I feel okay, but I still have symptoms. I think that the certain foods trigger the symptoms, and that's what annoys me, I think, is because again, maybe it just was wishful thinking that this would work and I would be symptom free. But I'm trying to still be hopeful, and this is going to take a long time. And I hinted this in previous videos. I was at a point early on, like, is this going to take 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks? Here I am at 15 weeks and I still have symptoms. I'm not trying to push anybody off from the surgery. I'm just telling you, this is what I dealt with. And in my opinion, it's going to take much, 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 much longer than they're going to tell you. I'm hoping that, again, by January 1st, that I'm symptom-free. Or have regular heartburn. And I do it to myself, where I had way too much pizza and Mountain Dew, and maybe I had a beer, and I'm asking for it. Most people are. And then, I also, before it was 10 o'clock at night, and I was about to go to bed, and I had a handful of flaming hot Cheetos. I don't do that often at all. I eat extremely healthy. But if I do want to indulge a little bit once in a while, that is understandable. I have those triggers and it kills me, and I can't sleep, and I have this, but again, I take a couple Rolaids and then, that helped, and I feel better. I still have a little bit of heartburn, but it's manageable. Because that's what I told my wife. She eats the same exact things, because she's like, well, I have heartburn too. I'm like, yeah, but yours is gone. Do you have heartburn right now, the next day? No. Do you have water brash? Do you have, and I'm like, I do. So it's not the same, so in any case, I take Rolade and Rolade and Rolade. I think the bottle that I have, up to 7 a day in a 24-hour period. And at points I'm taking 4, and it's still not really doing anything. But again, I'm also wondering if I have issues with I have a deviated septum, and if some of that's a problem. I don't know. I'm going to figure that out on November 5th. So, because I do taste blood. I do taste mucus and phlegm. And is that silent reflux? I would hope it's not, because again, I don't have a hernia anymore. Or again, is it just that I can still have that and it's just going to be a part of who I am now? Because when I eat something I'm not supposed to, it just is a bother. But again, for me, it's not a bout of heartburn and I can't sleep that night. It's the next day and it lingers, unfortunately. And, 30 minutes out of every hour I have a problem. So it's not like it's just, I notice it for 2 minutes and then it's gone. Sometimes it just lingers and it's just constant. And it's debilitating because of the fact that it just doesn't go away. But it's better than it was. I'm able to have pizza. I'm able to have tacos. I haven't tried my green chili burrito that I really want. I'm still very terrified of that. But, and I really have stayed away from fatty foods because I think that's a trigger as well. I might have them look at my gallbladder. I've mentioned that before in previous videos too, but I'm just trying to, cross things off the list. I had a hernia repair and a TIF. Okay, fine. Those shouldn't be the problem anymore. Is it my gallbladder? Is it my IBS? Is it my deviated septum? What else is causing these issues? I don't know. They're doing a colonoscopy. They've already done a check for gastroparesis and the stomach emptying, which is not a problem at the time. But I've not really been looked at by at least a good ENT to tell me that, yeah, you have silent reflux or whatever. But when they went down my throat and they did whatever they didn't notice anything in terms of an issue with my esophagus when they went down. So I don't have, damage in that regard. They didn't see anything, didn't notice and mention anything. So all I have is those symptoms, but sometimes they can be pretty debilitating to the point where I had surgery. So if you're, again, new to this video. But, it's been a struggle, but I feel better. Right now, I think I'm happy I did the surgery. But again, I think the jury's still out. I still waiting to see in, 2 months, 4 months. I used to say weeks, but notice how I'm saying if you're still sticking with me all these videos, I'm saying months because I'm still just trying to be patient. I just don't think that this is a weeks long process. I think this is a months long process. And I remember again seeing a video of somebody that had a lynx, which I did not have, different potentially for each person, but somebody that had a lynx procedure saying that it's just been about a year now and I'm finally now starting to feel normal again. Fair enough. I'm hoping sooner than that. But again, if it takes a year, or again, if it's at 6 months, what would that be? Around in January, give or take, February. Well, then I say that this just didn't work, or, continue to investigate some of these things. I wouldn't be going in for a colonoscopy if it wasn't for the constipation-related symptoms, and look up the reasons they would do a colonoscopy, to not share too much. But I wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for the other symptoms that I have that are unrelated to the hernia, caused by the hernia and the surgery and lack of water and stuff like that. But maybe that's part of the problem too, and why I have some of the symptoms I have is because I have irritable bowel syndrome. So, but again, I can't take a probiotic because it makes me sick. So I don't know what else to do to fix. And I'm going to try other things too that some people have suggested, and those of you who've commented, thank you. And thank you for sticking with me, and I appreciate any comments you have, that any help you can provide. And I hope that these videos are helping you, as I mentioned a million times in these videos. But that's kind of how it goes in terms of diet and all that stuff. Again, if you want to know exercise, I'm able to lift weights. I put on about 12 pounds after having lost 15. I felt like I lost a ton of muscle mass, and that hasn't come back, even though my weight is almost exactly the same as it was before. But I lost a ton of my muscle mass. I don't fit in my clothes the same way. My belts aren't as tight, even though I'm, very much the same weight. Just my muscles fell off. So had been a big issue for me. But I'm slowly but surely I'm working it back on. But I still feel pressure too. I still feel like somebody's taking a knuckle and pushing where the hernia repair was. So I still feel it. I still don't feel 100%. That's why I'm still more, I guess, I'm trying to be more encouraged that I'm still not fully recovered. And I still have to be patient. And I want to get to the point where I don't feel that anymore. And then when I don't feel that anymore, aside from what I'm doing, sometimes I just feel it. You know what I mean? It's, my wife had an umbilical hernia, And she says when she gets stressed, sometimes she feels her hernia. And she just has to do meditative breathing and stuff like that to relax it and kind of get it to, not that it's popped out, but she feels like it is trying to, kind of a thing. That's kind of what it feels like. It's like the hernia is trying to pop out or pop up or whatever. And it feels like an outward pressure, not like up into my diaphragm, but it's out towards, the camera and not up into my chest. So anyhow, that's kind of an update on what I have. I don't have anything much more to say. It's not too much different than that last video, but again, be patient if you're having the surgery. It's I think it's just going to take a long time. And when I get to that point where I'm at 200 days, I'm almost at 100 tomorrow, and not much is going to change from now and then. But assuming I get to the 200-day mark, I'm hoping that by 200 days, I'm going to feel really good. But I'm, again, hoping that by day 200, I feel really good. And then hopefully, worst case scenario, at day 365, I'm going to feel normal and not have to worry about exercises I do and jumping with my daughter or any activity of daily living. I don't have to think about that. And I still do. I still have to think about that. And I'm conscious of that. Burping's different too. I hiccup and then burp. I can't burp like I used to. I mentioned, I think before in previous videos, I used to get these deep dinosaur burp. I'd be able to swallow some air and reproduce this huge dinosaur type of burp, my wife would call it. Just, retch and, not retch, excuse me, but just a big burp. And then you could tell it came from your stomach and deep down, and my wife hates them, which is why she called them dinosaur burps. I can't do that anymore. I can't produce those burps. I can burp, but it's more of a hiccup followed by, it's almost kind of like to get the air, but I'm able to burp, but I just can't burp like I used to. So that's all I have for you. Just some miscellaneous things here at the end, but again, if you have a question, post a comment, I'll respond. Might not do it right away, but I'll get to you and answer a question I have an answer to. And if you can have suggestions for me, I'd love to hear anything. I'm willing to try anything that you guys could suggest, and I will give it a whirl. So have a good one.